This page, brings back memories. It's an N64 Pro cover, issue 32 no less. Right up front, you've got the absolute giants of the time. Pokémon Stadium getting a big first look, with Ash and Pikachu grinning away. And down the bottom, a bit of gothic goodness with Castlevania. Legacy of Darkness getting a plus feature. They're even throwing in a guide for Toy Story 2, bless 'em. Woody's popped up for that. Looks like they've got a Play to Death section reviewing stuff like Hydro Thunder, NBA in the Zone, Battlezone 64, and a few others. A real mixed bag of N64 goodness there. Plus, chances to win Battletanks carts and South Park videos. Claims to be the world's biggest N64 mag, quite the boast. Proper snapshot of the console's era. The next page, right, this is where the Cheats Unlimited service comes in. You remember Cheat Master and that lot? They're pushing their phone line here, claiming a frankly staggering 3,000 games covered. Got the Cheat Master and Cheat Mistress characters pointing the way. There's a sample list of games they might have cheats for, everything from Aero Fighters Assault to Zelda, but honestly, who's reading that tiny print? You just call the number, right? Mind you, it was 60p a minute back then, proper premium rate stuff, and you had to be 16. Bit steep if you ask me, but desperate times for those tricky bits. They offered everything from fax-back cheats to full guides, updated daily they say. Over on the right, we're still in N64 Pro territory. Ash and Pikachu are back, still buzzing about getting into this very issue to check out that Pokémon Stadium feature we saw on the cover. Makes sense. Below that, the magazine lays out its 8 commandments, basically promising they'll be honest, comprehensive, and always get you the cheats you need, even if it kills them. Bold claim. Then you've got the team introductions, showing off the mugshots and, randomly, their favorite Disney films. Yep, they're talking about The Lion King, Jungle Book, and fittingly given the cover, Toy Story 2 pops up again. Slightly odd, but charming way to introduce the crew, I suppose. Classic late 90s magazine stuff, innit? This N64 magazine issue boasts a classic design with a large logo and prominent con title. Readers can win plush toys and Scooby-Doo tapes, access a Toy Story 2 minifigure guide, and participate in various features like the Pro Crew Zone, tips, codes, and cheats. There's a letters page, swap shop, high score arena, and Game Boy section. Regular features include Perfect Dark news, game art, a release schedule, and developer league updates. 20 game reviews cover titles like Castlevania, Legacy of Darkness, Hydro Thunder, and Battlezone 64. Finally, the Blueprint section previews Ridge Racer and Pokémon Stadium. The issue appears to be comprehensive and packed with content. This page gives us the latest on Perfect Dark, showing off Agent Joanna Dark, and some action screenshots. The article laments yet another delay for Rare's anticipated shooter, pushing it back even further, and gripes about the removal of the feature that would have let you put your own face in the game using the Game Boy camera. Bit rubbish that, after all the waiting. There's also chatter about Nintendo's next console, codenamed Dolphin, suggesting it might be a bit later than hoped, possibly even 2001, due to lack of third-party development kits and finished software. Rumors also abound about a new motion-sensing controller for it, showing off some sort of glove-like thing. On the UK release front, Operation Winback is finally making its way over, described as being about the closest you'll get to Metal Gear Solid on the N64. Nice to have another decent shooter to keep us busy while we wait for Perfect Dark, eh? Bow. We also have the usual charts showing the top-selling N64 and Game Boy Color games in the UK, as well as the N64 Pro's Most Wanted list, and a little competition to predict next month's chart winners. Solid news page, mostly dominated by the saga of Perfect Dark. Ogre Battle 64's US/UK release is delayed until August, possibly later, due to translation difficulties. A former id Software programmer, Dave Kirsch, may be joining Retro Studios to develop first-person shooters for the Dolphin. Yoshi's Story for the Game Boy Advance is praised as a superb port, showcasing the Grenba's impressive graphical capabilities. A South Park game based on the Chin Pokémon episode features a bizarre Japanese plot and collectible monsters. Finally, N64 Pro is ceasing publication, transitioning to Nintendo Pro, encompassing a wider range of Nintendo systems. This page dives into the world of arcade gaming with a look at the ATEI 2000 show. First up is Rolling Extreme. This bizarre luge game really grabbed their attention. Sounds like great fun hurling yourself down urban slopes, though they reckon you won't see it on the N64 anytime soon. Rush 2049, the latest in the Rush series, gets a nod for its handling and tracks with jumps and shortcuts. They even mention an N64 port is in the works, which is good news. Then there's Aerosmith, Quest for Fame, a music game where you play along to Aerosmith tunes using guitar or drums. Sounds like it caused a bit of a stir at the show. Finally, Off-Road Thunder is a big truck racing game. A proper beast of a machine, but maybe best left in the arcade. Beyond the cabinets, there's a look at some fun and games at the fair section, which was apparently right next door, featuring classic fairground stuff like water pistol races and ladder climbing. Looks like the team had a laugh playing some silly games after checking out the serious arcade kit. Pokémon Stadium for the N64 promises 3D battles, trading with friends via transfer pack, and various game modes. Players lead Pokémon teams in tournaments. Ridge Racer 64, also highlighted, boasts impressive handling, 24 unlockable cars, including N64 exclusive models, 9 tracks, 3 new, and a 4-player mode. Both games are receiving enthusiastic praise from reviewers. Fichi. This page dives into a couple of upcoming titles. At the top we've got a look at Jeremy McGrath's Supercross 2000. It seems like a proper mudslinging racer, with plenty of bumps and jumps on the tracks. They're highlighting a track editor, which sounds excellent. Building your own courses is always a winner. You can pick different bike classes, from the Buzzbox 125s right up to the mighty 250s. Looks like it's shaping up to be a strong racer with multiplayer action too. Genji. Down below there's a preview of Daikatana. Daikatana. We've been waiting a while for this one, haven't we? The art shows off some characters, and the screenshots give a glimpse of the first-person action across different time periods. The premise sounds wild. Find the most powerful weapon in the universe by blasting through everything. They reckon the 4-player mode could stack up against GoldenEye and Perfect Dark, which is high praise indeed. It's described as looking pretty spanking gorgeous, and potentially a surprise hit, so fingers crossed after all this time. Several competitions are advertised, offering various prizes. Veg Galore presents a general knowledge question about night vision vegetables. Tommy Tanks offers Battle Tanks game copies, with a strange scuba diving tank question. Armorines, on Game Boy Color, requires identifying game enemies from pictures. The Big Video Bonanza includes Scooby-Doo, WCW/NWO Wrestling, and South Park movie videos, with corresponding trivia questions. All competitions require form submission and mailing. The Software House Leagues, a fan-created N64 Pro ranking of video game publishers, mimics a sports league. The top tier, the N64 Pro Premier League, features major publishers like Nintendo, Acclaim, and Electronic Arts. Lower divisions, like League Division 1, include publishers vying for promotion. Publishers earn points based on game reviews. A Mike's Dream Team feature creates fantasy football squads, using iconic game characters. Screenshots display games contributing to publisher rankings, showcasing diverse genres like action, sports, and adventure. The system provides a creative way to assess publisher performance based on game quality and success. This page dives headfirst into the upcoming N64 releases with Scoops Gallery, where our furry friend has been busy digging up some rather tasty screenshots. We've got a look at the crazy stunt action of SK3R, the classic cartoon antics of Duck Dodgers and the Blues Brothers, plus some shots from South Park Rally and TGR2, all giving us a peek at what's heading our way over the next few months. Cheshire World. There's also a big old release schedule, showing us what's supposedly hitting the shelves soon. Bit of a bummer seeing Ridge Racer and Perfect Dark slipped again, but hey, at least some other titles are sticking to their dates. They've picked out Castlevania and Hydro Thunder as must-buys, which certainly gets the pulse racing. Spooky staking or wild boat racing, take your pick. Looking further ahead in the forthcoming attractions, we get a glimpse of Daikatana, asking if it's the super shooter we need, and Tony Hawk's skateboarding, which sounds like just the thing to get those wheels spinning. Pokémon Stadium is also on the horizon, ready for us to battle our favorite pocket monsters. Finally, under Bubbling Under, we hear the rather disappointing news that Top Gear Hyperbike won't be making it to the UK, though there might be a chance of grabbing the US version. Shame, it looked like a bit of a beast. This N64 magazine offers a comprehensive gaming experience. The left side provides 132 pages of solutions for games like Resident Evil 2 and Donkey Kong 64, including maps, hints, cheats, and a complete N64 tips guide. The right side features reviews of Hydro Thunder and Castlevania, Legacy of Darkness, alongside other games like ECW and Battlezone 64. Reviewers Mark, Nearies, and Russell provide detailed analyses, scoring each game and offering personal opinions, culminating in potential Sore Thumb Award recognition. This review of Castlevania, Legacy of Darkness focuses on the return of Dracula and the gameplay experience as Cornell, a werewolf. Gameplay is similar to Castlevania 64, with werewolf transformation boosting abilities but reducing item access. Visuals are comparable to the predecessor, but the highest packs adds potential slowdowns. Camera angles have improved significantly, addressing a previous flaw. The game features familiar enemies like skeletons and dragons, with humorous enemy dialogue. The review highlights moments of terror, but ultimately describes the game as a familiar, refined version of Dracula's domain. This page continues the Castlevania, Legacy of Darkness review, giving us a closer look at the action. We see screenshots showing different areas, like a ship level, and various monsters you'll encounter, from snarling ghouls and skeletons to some truly impressive boss designs, including a ferocious lion beast and a big old dragon thingy. There's a helpful tip XTRA, suggesting that turning into the werewolf form is ace for taking down those big bosses, especially the water one outside the castle. It also shows a diagram of the N64 controller, explaining how to move, attack, jump, duck, and transform, which is handy. The reviewers give it a solid 80%, highlighting that it's pretty much identical to the previous year's version in terms of levels and enemies. The main gripe seems to be the lack of freshness compared to the original, with puzzles not quite hitting the heights of something like Resident Evil, and platforming sections being a bit iffy thanks to the camera. However, the boss fights are praised as astounding, almost Zelda level apparently, and saving at regular points helps ease the pain of those tricky platforming bits. It's deemed okay, but nothing special if you already own the last one, according to Mark. Other reviewers seem to have slightly different takes, with Russ saying it's good if you haven't played the original, and Neri's liking it but perhaps wishing she'd played the first one instead. This page dives into ECW Hardcore Revolution, but the review kicks off with a pretty blunt assessment, calling it a cash-in and essentially a rehash of WWF Attitude. You see screenshots showing the game's wrestling action, complete with barbed wire and chairs, living up to the hardcore name. There are profiles of some of the ECW guys, like Rob Van Dam and Just Incredible, though the descriptions are a bit cheeky, questioning if you'd really fancy them much or even know who they are. A little guide shows you the basic controls on the N64 pad, which is always useful. The main text points out that ECW isn't as well known as WWF or WCW, so you might not recognize the wrestlers. It runs through some of the modes, like career and the ability to create your own wrestler, or even a pay-per-view event, which sounds like a bit of fun. Tinty, but the real takeaway here is the review's big gripe. It's just WWF Attitude, with different wrestlers and a hardcore flavor slapped on top. They call it a total cash-in, and suggest you shouldn't bother if you already own Attitude, which is a stinging critique. It gets a 64% score overall, with the Y comment reinforcing that acclaim seemingly couldn't be bothered to make a proper new game. The other reviewers largely agree it's just Attitude again, though one notes the blood and violence are spot on if you like that sort of thing. This page jumps into the world of Hydro Thunder, and blimey, the reviewer is absolutely buzzing about it. It's called a proper splash, a tidal wave of brilliance that's got everyone messing about on the river. Apparently, this is a vastly underrated arcade gem and a total rollercoaster ride with waves. The visuals are singled out for huge praise. They're described as gorgeously detailed, and the whole screen is rammed with waterside delights. Crucially for the N64, they say there's no nasty blurring, which is apparently astounding. The boats bounce around realistically on the moving waves, which is quite something. There are loads of boats featured, including bonus ones you unlock, like the appropriately named Thresher and Tidal Blade, and one that's cheekily labeled as Batman's rowing boat. You also see various tracks like the Arctic Circle and Lake Powell in the screenshots. The turbo boosts are mentioned too, giving you a blast of rocket juice. They even throw in a quick tip on getting a speedy start and mention the calm currents of the easy tracks evolving into choppy tides on the medium levels. It seems like this is a visually impressive, fast-paced racer that's got the reviewer completely hooked. A Hydro Thunder review notes the game's enjoyable but fleeting arcade experience, especially after unlocking all tracks. Multiplayer is praised for its 2-player mode, but criticized for the 4-player option. Despite a strong 89% score, with high marks for graphics, 10 out of 10, and sound, 8/10, the review suggests the game lacks lasting appeal, 7/10 gameplay longevity. An advertisement for a Screen Beats sound station speaker system follows, highlighting its potential to enhance gaming audio significantly. This page is all about Cyber Tiger, and let me tell you, don't let the name fool you into thinking it's some mad jungle adventure with robots. Nope, it's golf, but thankfully, it's golf with a healthy dose of fun rather than boring realism. It's got that slightly cartoony look, a bit like a daft Saturday morning show, with the main golfer character, and even a goofy dog popping up. You can pull off all sorts of silly shots, and use power-ups, which is a sight more entertaining than just aiming straight all the time. They've packed in plenty of modes too, like the standard stuff, but also proper battle matches, which are a laugh. Yeah, the music might get on your nerves after a bit, and the sound effects are a bit repetitive, but honestly, the core game is solid fun. It's not taking itself seriously, and that's its charm. It even gets a respectable 85%, putting it up there as one of the decent golf games on the N64, even if it doesn't quite reach the dizzy heights of Mario Golf. A good effort, loads more entertaining than watching paint dry, or actual golf sometimes. This page kicks off with a look at Battletank's global assault on the left, promising big missiles and lots of explosions, which sounds right up my street. It's set in a post-apocalyptic world where you're battling other gangs in tanks, trying to rescue the few remaining women on the planet. A rather grim premise, but the gameplay is described as fast and frantic, with loads of different tanks and weapons to choose from. Apparently the explosions are massive, and the camera goes a bit mad, which just adds to the chows. You get a breakdown of the different gangs you can join, each with their own tanks. Everything from cannibals in New York to the remaining US Army. It gets a solid 84%, with the reviewers saying the gameplay is great fun despite the graphics being a bit inconsistent sometimes. Over on the right, we've got a handy pull-out guide for Toy Story 2, focusing on everyone's favorite space ranger, Buzz Lightyear. Woody's been nicked, and it's up to Buzz to save the day. The guide shows you the N64 controller layout and how to control Buzz, mapping out actions like firing your laser, jumping, and doing a spin attack. It also gives a little tip about using the target mode to look around levels, which is always useful when you're trying to find your way to infinity and beyond. A nice little helping hand for anyone getting stuck. This page continues the handy-dandy guide for Toy Story 2, picking up the slack after the initial controls overview. It dives straight into the goodies you'll find, like the essential green laser for zapping baddies, coins for collecting tokens, the all-important Pizza Planet tokens you need to finish levels, and Buzz icons and batteries for extra lives and health handy bits of kit those. Then we get into the nitty-gritty, with walkthrough bits for the early levels, Andy's house, Andy's neighborhood, and Bombs Away. Looks like you'll be helping Buzz navigate rooms, gardens, and even tackling a kite and a buggy race. The guide gives pointers on specific tasks, like finding ham or rescuing sheep. Good to know what to look out for, though you might just have to figure some of the trickier platforming out yourself, eh? There's also a rundown of special moves, detailing how to use Buzz's laser, and charge it up, lock on for targeting, the spin attack, and the useful power jump for reaching high places and bouncing off things. Finally, it touches on some special items you can find, like the energy shield, disc launcher, rocket boots, grappling hook, and levitation boots, which sound like they'll make things a bit easier if you can track them down. All in all, a solid cheat sheet to help Buzz on his quest to save Woody. This page picks up the Toy Story 2 walkthrough right where we left off, diving into the later levels. Level 4, the construction yard, sounds like a right faff, sending you off to find lost little tykes and messing about with Mr. Potato Head for that disc launcher. There's also a painting puzzle involving mixing colors. Sounds a bit artsy for Buzz, but hey, gotta get those tokens. Moving on to level 5, Alleys and Gullies, which is crammed with different tasks. You'll be bouncing around on a balloon ride, gathering Slinky's scattered bones in a timed challenge. Sounds stressful that. Then there's rescuing ducklings, tackling a rather grumpy clown with your grappling hook and laser, and hunting for coins under Ham's umbrella. Blimey, a busy street indeed. Finally, level 6 throws you into slime time, which is clearly a boss fight. Looks like you need to zap the big green blob with your laser to shrink him down. Simple enough, but probably requires a bit of dodging. There are also a few helpful top tips scattered about, covering everything from controlling Buzz's fall, to racing strategies in Ridge Racer, and how to beat that slime boss. Oh, and speaking of Ridge Racer, there's a nice big picture of the game's hostess character, taking up half the page. Always good to see a familiar face, even if she isn't much help with finding those pesky little tykes. This page gives us a cracking look at some of the character outfits from Mario Party 2. On the left, you've got Donkey Kong looking proper daft in his wizard getup, complete with a pointy hat and a massive hammer. He's even got a super mushroom floating above him, looking rather pleased with itself. Over on the right, it's everyone's favorite plumber Mario, kitted out as a rooting tootin' cowboy. hat, bandana, belt with cartridges, the whole shebang. He's pointing up, probably at the star he's aiming for. These costume pages were always a laugh in Mario Party 2. Seeing the familiar characters dressed up in various themes like pirates, cowboys or wizards for each board was a nice touch. It's just good old-fashioned character art, showcasing some of the silliness you could expect from the game. Proper nostalgia fodder, this. The next page blasts us with a massive image of a slick red car, clearly representing Ridge Racer 64, a proper showcase of the console's visual muscle back then. But the real meat of this page is the cheat zone section, diving into the N64 version of Toy Story 2. We've got Al McQuiggan himself popping up along with Slinky, Rex and Ham, giving us the lowdown on how to get through some tricky spots. It's packed with tips and walkthroughs for levels like Al's Toy Barn and Al's Spaceland. Honestly, needing cheats for a kid's game? Bit soft, wasn't it? But hey, if you were stuck trying to find Mr. Potato Head's missing piece, or figure out the chicken licking challenge, this page had your back. They even tell you how to take down the Driller Killer and where to find Ham for his coins. Useful stuff if you were a completionist back in the day. The next page keeps us firmly in the cheat zone for Toy Story 2, pushing deeper into Woody and Buzz's adventure. We've got some cracking character art here, with Zurg looking suitably menacing, alongside Bo Peep, one of the aliens, Woody, Buzz, Mr. Potato Head, and even the Prospector. This time, they're tackling some proper late-game challenges. We get the lowdown on how to beat the boss in the Toy Barn level. Apparently, you have to take out his little capsules first, which sounds like a right faff. Then it's onto the elevator hop level, helping you find more Mr. Potato Head parts. Seriously, how many pieces did that bloke lose? And deal with spiders and shafts. Al's penthouse is covered too, detailing how to get past the bunny wunnies and find Ham in the hot tub. And of course, the big one, level 12, Evil Emperor Zurg. They tell you he's immune to laser blasts, so you've got to rely on Buzz's spin attack. Seems a bit simple for an evil emperor, but there you go. Boog. Finally, there's the airport's infiltration level, guiding you through collecting weights, finding more Potato Head bits, honestly, and dealing with Teak Airways and those blokes, the Prospector and Ham again. Plus, a handy top tip reminds you Buzz's spin attack is great for deflecting projectiles, especially on the last level. Proper comprehensive guide if you were stuck. The next page continues with the Toy Story 2 cheats, guiding you through the final airport levels. It details tackling the blacksmith boss on the tarmac, finding Ham's token, locating all of Tyke's ridiculously misplaced luggage. Seriously, how does a kid lose so many things? And navigating poisonous grass to reach Slinky. Then, it covers the big one, the final showdown against the Prospector, the Bandit and the Blacksmith all at once. The guide gives tactics on who to take down first and how to use Buzz's spin attack effectively. Flipping over, we hit a review of NBA in the Zone 2000. The reviewer, Russ, seems less than impressed. He reckons despite basketball being big over the pond, this attempt at capturing the game's excitement on the N64 falls flat. He describes the movement as like running through a sea of treacle. The controls are apparently unresponsive, and the graphics are crummy. Even the special moves and various game modes don't make up for the slow, dull gameplay. With a score of only 59% and recommendations to play NBA Jam or Kobe Bryant instead, it sounds like one to avoid, honestly. A review of Battlezone 64 praises its unique blend of driving, shooting, and base building, with a large, engaging multiplayer mode. However, controls are criticized as confusing, and sound effects as bland. Despite this, the game receives a solid 82%. The page also features a large sales section from Gameplay, offering new and used N64 games, consoles, accessories, and even hint books, alongside images of popular titles like Resident Evil 2 and Worms. This page takes us straight into the results of the Millennium Games Awards, where the readers have voted for their best games ever. You've got a cracking layout here with some iconic characters splashed about like Lara Croft, Mario, Pikachu, Ash Ketchum, and even Link from Zelda, plus some classic screenshots showing off the top 10. The big news, front and center, is GoldenEye on the N64 absolutely smashing it and being crowned the game of the millennium. Couldn't agree more, a proper revolution that was. The top 10 is absolutely stacked with belters. Metal Gear Solid, Gran Turismo, Tekken 3, Tomb Raider, Resident Evil 2, Sonic, Final Fantasy V2, Worms and Driver all making the cut. A proper trip down memory lane, that list. They've even chucked in a bit about the voters themselves, mostly young lads apparently, which isn't exactly a shocker given the mag. And a quick look at what consoles people own and plan to buy. PlayStation is king, but the N64 is certainly holding its own. Cracking to see GoldenEye get the top spot. Makes perfect sense, really. Looks like the readers have good taste, mostly. This article features reader reviews of popular Nintendo 64 games. Readers overwhelmingly praised Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, giving it scores near perfect. Resident Evil 2 received mixed reviews, with some loving the scares and graphics while others found it awful. Episode 1 Racer, despite a magazine score of 93%, also had a few negative comments. Ready 2 Rumble received similarly mixed feedback, with some praising the animation and sound, and others finding it slow. The article encourages readers to submit their own reviews. Warrington also has motion and sound, and others Warrington also has motion and sound. This page dives straight into the good stuff, the legendary cheat zone. Forget playing fair, this is where you get the lowdown on how to break the games wide open. We've got tricks and tips for battle tanks, global assault, loading you up with all the weapons, and making you invincible. Because, who needs tactics when you've got cheats, eh? Monster Truck Madness is here too, with codes to get jetpacks and turbo boosts. Then there's Knockout Kings 2000, perfect for anyone struggling in the ring, letting you unlock things like having a giant head or massive gloves. Classic stuff. Hasher. We've also got Winback 64, giving you extra characters and infinite ammo, useful for getting through those tricky spots. And for Turok, Rage Wars, there's info on unlocking hidden characters and accessing a special cheat menu. Supercross 2000 even lets you race sheep, apparently, alongside a list of freestyle tricks for extra points. There's a handy diagram showing you exactly what button is what on the N64 controller, just in case you've been living under a rock. And if you're still stuck after all this, there's the Tipex helpline, because sometimes you just need a bit of help from the pros. Some cracking games covered, giving you that unfair advantage we all secretly love. This page kicks off with a feature about the boys with the toys, who are apparently official Dreamcast dealers and fanatical gamers, offering honest advice on why games are sometimes rubbish, something you wouldn't get from the big chains, eh? They even have a phone number to call if you're after a Dreamcast bundle, and they sell games separately for £34.99, with a promise of 48-hour delivery. Looks like they know their stuff, and aren't afraid to tell you what they really think, unlike some places just trying to shift stock. Then we've got the N64 Pro Back Issues section. If you missed out on some classic issues, you can grab them for a mere £4 each. There are quite a few available, though some are already sold out, naturally. They list which issues are still in stock and give you a taste of what was inside covers, featuring games like South Park 64, Lego Racers, Premier Manager, Worms, Resident Evil 2, and Donkey Kong 64. A proper trip down memory lane for any N64 enthusiast. There's an order form included, making it easy to get your hands on those gems you missed. Looks like a good opportunity to fill some gaps in the collection. This month's You Reckon? Letters section is packed with reader feedback on the upcoming Dolphin console and Game Boy Advance. Zach suggests layout improvements, while other readers inquire about Rare's projects, ISS Millennium, and Toy Story 2. The magazine assures the Dolphin is on schedule, though delays are possible, with a European release anticipated around Christmas 2000. Barry raises questions about cartoon game quality and console exclusives. Finally, Paul queries the Game Boy Advance, confirming its internet connectivity and possible Yoshi's Story port. The entire issue is illustrated with various relevant images. Reader letters dominate the page, focusing on the console war between the Dolphin and PlayStation 2. Questions range from comparing specs and gameplay, Banjo-Kazooie, Pokemon Stadium, Smash Bros., to practical concerns. DVD playback, shelf space. Roy Parton, whose picture was previously mislabeled, praises the magazine's reviews but laments a perceived decline in quality. Other letters defend the Dolphin's speed and development time, while praising the Game Boy Advance's internet capabilities. Finally, the page concludes with a call for more reader input and a staff photo. Luckily. This page is all about getting stuck in with the N64 community, offering up your old gear, or grabbing some new bits. First up, we've got the swap shop, which is brilliant really. With Perfect Dark still a little while off, it's the perfect time to clear out the cupboard or find a bargain. You've got people wanting to swap Mario Kart for just about anything, others flogging classics like GoldenEye, WWF games, or Quake. There's even poor sod desperate for a copy of Rogue Squadron. Been there, mate. Donkey Kong 64 is topping the wanted list, which is fair enough, it's a belter. Zelda, on the other hand, apparently, is not wanted. Odd. Airy. Then there's the shout-out section, where you can send messages to your mates. We've got a lovely one here from the Cher fan club, yes, that Cher, wishing someone well, And another cracking shout about Toy Story being the biggest flop around. Right. And finally, we've got a load of merchandise from Gear 4 Games. If you're after Pokemon Monopoly, yes, that's a thing, bed linen, or even just badges, they've got it. There are Sonic figures looking sharp, Tomb Raider figures, complete with Crocodile naturally, and some frankly bizarre South Park merchandise, a Mr. Hat puppet and Ludo set, plus a TV talker. Proper retro gaming tat, essential stuff. You can order it all up using the form provided. This page is where the true champions get their names in print. It's the high scores section, proving who's been putting the hours in on the N64. We've got serious bragging rights on display here for a whole bunch of top games. First up, Jet Force Gemini, where people are showing off how many tribals they've rescued, and their clear times for various levels. Looks like young Neil Mapley is dominating that one, fair play. Then there's Donkey Kong 64, with scores for Rambi, On Guard and the arcade games smashing it. Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time players are submitting times for the horse race and marathon, plus points for archery and fishing. Some cracking times in there, you lot have clearly mastered Epona. Mario Kart 64 sees people clocking blisteringly fast laps on various tracks, with Barry Drew looking like the man to beat. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer is split into amateur, semi-pro, galactic, and invitational leagues, with folks posting their lap and race times. That game was fast, so these times represent some serious dedication. And finally, Diddy Kong Racing has times for all the different tracks. Plenty of competition there too. They're giving away a THQ game cart for the top scorer, which is brilliant. Get those entries in, and speaking of entries, they've got a simple form here explaining how to submit your proof and get your mugshot in the mag alongside your high score. Get gaming, and get sending. This page has a bit of a split personality, doesn't it? On the left, we've got an absolute classic, the N64 Pro Magazine's very own fan club, the Pro Crew. They're pushing hard for you to join up, offering all sorts of goodies like a free t-shirt with that alien bloke on it, every issue of the mag for a year, a swanky membership card, bonus gifts, exclusive cheats, the really important stuff, and a monthly fanzine. All this for a mere £28. Seems like a decent deal if you were properly into the magazine back then. They've even got Raymond popping up to endorse it, bless him. Over on the right, it's all seriousness and tactical action with an advert for Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six. This was a big deal, bringing intense, realistic operations to consoles. You're commanding an elite strike force, battling international terrorism, proper serious stuff, not like mucking about with kart races or rescuing tribals. The blurb promises explosive real-world action and tactics that'll give you spin-a-tingling tactics, saying it's so real you'll be yelling "Tango down" in your sleep. Fair play to them for trying to capture that PC tactical feel on the N64 and PlayStation, quite the challenge. It definitely looked the part for the time. Very moody and intense. A Game Boy Color page highlights the console's explosive growth, featuring numerous new games. What's the Score uses a robot to rate games. A preview of Kemco's TGP2, a pocket racer with sharp graphics and rumble, is included. The major focus is Pokemon Gold and Silver, showcasing full-color Pokemon, new creatures, and a day/night cycle. Essential accessories like the Worm Light and Shock and Rock Battery are also discussed. The page also mentions upcoming games like Austin Powers and Wacky Races, along with a release schedule. Overall, the page is a celebration of the Game Boy Color's gaming potential. This Game Boy Color issue is packed with reviews, including Babe I Got You Babe, adorable puzzle game, Bubble Bobble, fun arcade classic, Tom and Jerry, fun platformer, Yoda Stories, average adventure, and Tiger Woods PGA Tour 2000, great visuals, tricky controls. News suggests a potential European launch delay despite high sales. Dino Crisis is also on the way, described as gruesome. A top 5 list highlights essential titles like Pokemon, Mario Golf, Zelda, and Dragon Warrior. Cheats for Worms Armageddon and Bubble Bobble are included. A promotion for Total Game Boy Color magazine, promising more reviews and scores, closes the issue. A full-page Donkey Kong 64 magazine advertisement boasts a complete walkthrough guide, £3.99, promising tips, hints and secrets to find all golden bananas. It also features a Dreamcast bundle giveaway competition, with the console, accessories, and games, House of the Dead 2, Gun, Sonic Adventure, Soul Calibur, up for grabs. A premium rate phone line offers hints for multiple games and further competitions. A smaller ad for Console King, online Nintendo 64/Game Boy retailer, and an ad soliciting magazine advertisers complete the page. Another competition, this time for a DVD player and vouchers, is also promoted via a premium rate hotline. The Buyer's Guide features reviews of video games, categorized by genre. The shooting section highlights titles like GoldenEye 007, 96%, and criticizes others like Knife Edge, 33%. Racing games are also reviewed, with F1 WGP2, Diddy Kong Racing, and F-Zero X receiving high scores, 95%, 92%, and 90% respectively. Conversely, Carmageddon and California Speed are panned, 10% and 11% respectively. Steering wheels are also discussed. This page continues the Buyer's Guide, jumping straight into the dust-ups with the fighting section. You've got a mixed bag here, from the frankly rubbish Duel Heroes and War Gods, right up to the solid Biofreaks and Mortal Kombat 4. Look, some fighters are just dogs, like Clay Fighter getting absolutely savaged. Even Mortal Kombat Mythologies didn't fare well, bless its heart. South Park's Cartman pops up to give his opinion on Mortal Kombat, which is rather pointed. Next up, we're puzzling away. Buster Move is clearly the king here, with all three entries scoring highly and getting rave reviews for being addictive. There are other brain teasers like the water-based Wii Tricks, which seems to be a winner, and the Tetris variations. Load Runner, however, sounds like a bit of a letdown. Then we hit the platformers, and this is where the N64 really shines. Absolute classics like Banjo-Kazooie, Rayman 2, and Super Mario 64 are highlighted, all scoring in the 90s, which is no surprise to anyone who played them back then. Even the less famous ones, like Chameleon Twist and Yoshi's Story, seem decent. There's a little section called Parky's Favorite, listing a few random games he liked, like Bassmasters and Toy Story 2. Finally, we have a look at the essential gear, the joypads and rumble pucks. They run through a few third-party options for controllers and the all-important rumble pucks that make games come alive, including the official one which, let's be honest, was the best. The N64 section covers a wide range of games, including sports titles like FIFA and Madden, other stuff like conversion ports and Japanese games, and adventure games like Zelda and Banjo-Kazooie. The sports section showcases variety beyond platformers and shooters, while other stuff includes diverse genres like horror and strategy. Adventure games feature highly rated titles like Zelda 64 and Donkey Kong 64. A competition, Parky's Big Game Hunt, is also featured, offering a chance to win a steering wheel controller. This page is a fantastic look ahead. It's teasing the next issue of Nintendo Pro, promising a massive roundup of all things Nintendo, including the Game Boy Color, War N64, the upcoming Game Boy Advance, and even the mysterious Dolphin console that everyone's talking about. You know, what eventually became the GameCube. They're hyping up Pokemon Stadium big time with a brilliant splash of Pokemon characters like Charizard, Blastoise and Pikachu. Looks like next issue is going to be battle-tastic. They also tease reviews and previews for absolute crackers like Ridge Racer 64, Tony Hawk's Skateboarding, and Tomb Raider on the Game Boy Color. You'd be daft to miss it, honestly. There's also the usual masthead listing all the fine folks who put the magazine together. The rest of the page is mainly taken up by special reserve flogging consoles, games, and offers, and a little teaser for a Hydro Thunder 64 guide in the cheat zone.